Welcome to this section on retouching photos in Photoshop. Go ahead and under Project 7 in the Photos folder, you'll see a retouching photo. This is a raw image. So if you open this up, it will open it up in Camera Raw. Now again, if you haven't gone through Camera Raw yet, which is a later section, go through that so you learn everything. But basically, I've made some adjustments here to the highlights and shadows already just to make it a little bit contrastier, bring down some of those overexposed parts of the skin or higher exposed parts of the skin. And that's pretty much it. And then I'm just going to open this up as an object. So clicking the Shift button and opening this object. Now I'm going to show you my process for doing sort of a quick and easy retouching. And then I'm going to show you some more advanced tools, liquify tools to really adjust the size and shapes of things. Super powerful, but also not necessarily my style or maybe not your style. And so each of the videos in this section are going to be a step-by-step approach, starting with removing blemishes, smoothing skin, and doing other enhancements to parts of your image. So first off, I want to jump into removing blemishes. So whenever you edit a portrait, what you want to do or do any editing is do it as a new layer if possible. So what you can actually do is click the new layer button. And then when you're using some of these tools over here, it will actually affect what's beneath it, but it's not actually happening to the layer beneath it, meaning you can always undo that layer, get rid of it, and restart. So if I zoom in here, we can see that this portrait, there's some pimples here that we might want to get rid of. So Photoshop has a tool for that. It's called the Spot Healing Brush tool. So here, if we simply just literally click on this image, it's going to remove it. Now make sure that your spot healing brush is set to normal, content aware actually is what we want, and then sample all layers. Because if it's not on sample all layers, it's not going to know what to replace it with because we're painting on an invisible layer or a layer with nothing on it. So now it's sampling the layer beneath it. So if we're just painting on, you can see simple, it's does a pretty darn good job at removing these blemishes pretty quickly. Now, of course, this is up to you as the artist, as the photographer, as someone who is hopefully speaking to your models and letting them know if, asking them if they want you to remove blemishes or not. So these are quick, sort of bigger pimples or things that you want to get rid of. In the next video, we'll go over how to smooth skin generally to just make it smoother. So another thing I want to show you, though, is a different tool. So say we take this and we're trying to remove not a blemish, but maybe some of these flyaway hairs. Let's actually create a new layer. So we're going to name this blemishes. Then we're going to create a new one, call this hair. If we're using the spot removal tool and we're brushing over some of this hair, you'll see that it does a decent job, but sometimes it doesn't do that good a job at blending in with the background. It's actually doing a pretty good job. But, see, there you go. That one didn't work. If you want to be more particular about what you want Photoshop to replace your selection with, use the healing brush tool. What this basically does is it allows you to make a selection and say, okay, Photoshop, I want you to take this point here, and I'm holding the Option key down to select this point, and replace what I'm about to choose with that kind of image, or that color, that exposure, similar to the clone brush tool, but more in an intelligent way. So you always want to make your selection first, and Photoshop is going to force you to make your selection first, and then paint over whatever you want to get rid of. Now, depending on how big it is, how much you are brushing, it may or may not look that great. So you're just going to have to play around with it. But if you're ever in the situation where you're trying to remove something, even like a blemish on a pimple or something on the skin, and what it's replacing it with doesn't look that just right, you may have to go from the spot healing brush to the healing brush tool. Spot healing, think of it as sort of an automatic way to do it. Photoshop does its best, and it often does a pretty good job, but the healing brush tool gives you more control. Now, here's a quick pro tip. Say you are struggling to figure out where the blemishes are. Let's turn off these layers. Let me show you something pretty cool. If we create a new adjustment layer, a black and white layer, and then we actually drop down the reds in our properties, it's actually going to make our blemishes stand out, because a lot of our blemishes actually have a lot of red in it and sometimes yellow. You can bring down the yellow and then maybe bring up the blues. Sometimes the blues and the cyans can kind of create this contrasty look, and so we can really see where those blemishes are. Now, if I turn on my blemishes layer, you can really see that I have already gone through and removed a lot of those. So this is something that you would want to do at the very beginning of removing blemishes. But I just wanted to show you that pro tip. It can really help you out. Of course, delete that layer when you're done with it. All right, so that's how you remove blemishes, and we'll keep moving on with the next lesson on softening skin.